What is going on, Crimson City? My name is Crimson CBAD, and in today's video, guys, I'll be bringing you our Week 7 team build. No, we did the team build yesterday. Battle. We're bringing the battle. We're bringing you guys the battle up against Galactic Light and the Chicago Cubchoos. You guys are excited. Be sure to leave a like on the video. You guys' support is always greatly appreciated, and of course, make sure you guys go check out Elliot's channel. I'll be sure to link his stuff in the description so you can go see his team builder, his battle, all that fun stuff. Show him some love. He's a wonderful guy. I love him. I love his beard. I love his face. I love everything about him. Let's talk teams really quickly. If you guys didn't see my team builder, I'll be sure to link that in the description as well. But we're bringing Spadef Sizer, somewhat of a weird bulky Alakazam, Banded Zygarde, Meloetta Pirouette, kind of weird Roserade, and then Charty Berry Defensive Pelipper. So, really interesting team builder. I'd highly recommend you guys go check that out first. Looking at his team, called like 4 things if I'm not mistaken, 3 to 4 things. He brought the Mew, he brought the Thundurus, he brought the Blastoise, and he brought the Cryogonal. So, things that I didn't anticipate. Pangoro was kind of like, it was either Pangoro or Metagross, and then I'm really surprised to see Granbull. Granbull does, like, I'm surprised, but I'm not surprised at the same time. So, but we did peg down, like, a lot of it. We pegged down the Mew, we pegged down Thundurus, and pegged down Blastoise. So, we're just going ahead and start this battle off right about now. We did talk about that hazard stacking into Banded Zygarde, into Meloetta Pirouette, or into Calm Mind Alakazam would be the way to win this. So, leading off Tony Stark here, really handles all of his threats pretty well. He leads off with Happy the Mew, so I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to do? What do you want to do? He withdraws Happy right out of the gate. I can talk to this thing pretty freely and start wearing him down. He goes out into Gertrude, which is going to be the Granbull, and I was like, okay. Very good play. Probably went for a knockoff, a bullet punch, a U-turn, but I do go for the Toxic, so I am able to start wearing this thing down pretty early. It does check physical threats such as Scissors, not too physical, but it does have, you know, tremendous attack power and the Technician boost of bullet punches, stab U-turns, all that fun stuff. So we are able to start wearing this thing down, so that way Banded Zygarde is able to click Outrage. So I'm going to withdraw. I don't know what he wants to do. I don't know his speed investment. He can outspeed me with proper speed investment. I'm going to go on to Indra here, Defensive Pelipper. If he does have the Thunder Punch, that's going to hurt a lot. I can take a player off. I can do all this. Oddly enough, so I set the Rain, and he goes for an Overheat. And I was like, okay. Okay, interesting. I was like, okay, we'll go with the Overheat. Toxic's gonna be wearing down on the Gertrude, that's fine. I don't think he can do anything to me, so I'm like, all right, he's a special one. Especially, he can't touch me now, even if he does have, like, Fire Punch or he goes for Thunder Punch. I'm gonna double back out here into Scissor, knowing this thing is probably special, and its fire coverage for Scissor is Overheat, now its special attack is dropped by 2. So, he's gonna go back into Mew right here. Now, I can go for a Toxic on this thing again, I can go for a U-turn on this thing again as well. He just goes right back out into Granbull, and I'm like, okay, cool, fine by me. You're gonna go out of the Granbull, it's cool. I'm just gonna U-turn, because last time I went for the Toxic, and if you're trying to catch me off guard, I'm gonna keep these plays going, I'm gonna keep them rolling out, I'm gonna U-turn to keep momentum back in my hand. And I'm like, alright, what can I do to scare this thing out? I'm gonna go on to Ivy here, because Overheat's not gonna do a lot to me. If he's got Ice Punch for Zygarde or for Roserade, it's not gonna do too much to me. I can tank 1, provided he's like a max attack set. He's gonna withdraw, he's fearing the Sludge Bomb. Don't want to take that. He actually goes out into Frosty, and now this Cryogonal is actually really cool. I'm just gonna go for the Giga Drain. I'm just gonna play nice and safe. Go for the Giga Drain. I could have went for Shadow Ball, but Giga Drain stabs, so it's good. I don't want to take an Ice move. I'm gonna go right back out into Tony Stark. That is my play every single time. If he's offensive with HP Fire, this is gonna hurt. But I don't know why he wouldn't go for a Freezer or something. Actually sets up the Hail, and I'm like, okay. My guy, I see you making these plays. I'm editing the screen really quickly in the middle of a battle because it looks like, oh god, no! Oh, well, this is, you know, okay, there we go. Alright, live editing for you, folks. Live editing for you. Nothing but the best here. So, he goes for the Hail. He doesn't want to take a Bullet Punch, doesn't want to do nothing like that. Actually, let's go back to the previous turn. Let's go back to the previous turn here really quickly, just so you guys see what all went down during my live editing shenanigans. It's 3 in the morning and I need to be in Ohio in about 3 hours, so we're gonna try to make this a quick one. No more live recording on no more live editing on my hand, I promise you. So we're gonna recap this little thing really quickly. I don't want to take a Freeze Dry. I'm gonna go out into Tony Stark here because I can take a Freeze Dry. I can scare him out with a Bullet Punch as well. Sets up the Hail. Alright, so I'm like, Hail. Hail. Okay. I was like, okay, and I wasn't quite sure where he was going with this, and it's mainly because of like my lack of knowledge on the Sun and Moon meta, but you'll see eventually what he ends up wanting to go for. Hail's gonna come off, that's fine. We're gonna get the leftovers and we're gonna bring it right back up to full, so we are good. We can take whatever he wants to go for, and he's gonna withdraw Frosty, and I was like, okay, I can take one. I can go for a bullet punch on this thing, so he's probably gonna switch out, right back out into that Gramble, so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna U-turn, I'm gonna get on out of here, I'm gonna get up on out, we're gonna take that U-turn, we're gonna get back out, because like I said, Gramble is like not doing too much to me, and I don't know what this hail nonsense is, so I'm just gonna go back out into Pelipper, honestly. We can set the rain and get rid of the hail for any sort of mons. The chip damage would be nice on the Granbull. And we do have enough special attack investment with Surf in the rain to knock out an uninvested Entei. So I'm like, with the poison damage, the way this Granbull's going, it's about half. I was like, you know, do we go for the Surf? Do we go for the Hurricane? I was like, let's go for the Surf. Surf is the overall best play in case he wanted to go out into Thunderous or something for a Hurricane. Resist that with the electric type. But right now, early lead, 6-5. Us. We took out the Gramble, so I'm like, all right, no more offensive checks for Zygarde, really. He can't intimidate me anymore, so I can just pretty much do whatever I want. I haven't seen Mewtwo do too much offensively, so I'm gonna go out into Tony Stark here. He sets up rocks with the Mew. I'm thinking he's like the more defensive set the Mew's often tossed into in League format, which is like Rocks, Knockoff, Will-O-Wisp, Defog, things like that. He's gonna go out into Leonardo the Blastoise, and again, because he showed Rocks, because the rain's up, I don't think he can do too much to me. He can knock off my lefties, so I was gonna go for the Toxic here to be able to wear down that Mew. Blastoise comes in, I'm like, Blastoise thick. Blastoise is thick, I don't want nothing to do with that, so we're gonna get the Toxic off on the Blastoise. It does get access to Refresh, so if he did bring that, you know, so be it. But I'm gonna stay in with the Scissor here. I can roost up damage to see what he wants to go for. If he goes for a Water Pulse in the rain, obviously Scald, Hydro Pump, and all that fun stuff are boosted in the rain. Goes for the Scald, and I was like, all right, in the rain, this is gonna hurt. It does do a little more than half. We're gonna roost off the damage just because I wanted to scout the kind of damage to see what he was going for. And based off that damage, he was looking to be like a pretty specially offensive Blastoise. Like he had a good amount of investment in him. So between the roost and the recovery, we are gonna be able to get back up to about full. The rain is gone, so he's not gonna be able to get that boost on the Scalds anymore. So I know I can take another one. I kind of want to get Poison to rack up on this thing. He's gonna go for another Scald. If I'm burned, so be it. This thing's really more for pivoting. The Bullet Punch is kind of there for the Cryogonal, so I'm not too worried about it. I am going to U-turn out here, though. I do want a little bit of chip damage. It's unfortunate that I got burned from that Scald, because that U-turn would have been great chip damage off on the Blastoise, but it is what it is. I can go out into Roserade here, and we did EV this Roserade to outspeed a modest max speed Blastoise. If he's max speed timid, he will outspeed us, and he'll be able to hurt us with an Ice Beam or something, but look at that toxic damage. He doesn't want to stay in against us, nor does he want to take a Giga Drain and try to just get rid of us, so he's going to go out into Frosty here. Fine by me. We're just going to keep going for the Giga Drain. Now, Frosty does get Recover. That is something to note. We've seen the Hail setup. We haven't seen any sort of offensive moves from this thing, so I don't know if it's a spinner. He goes for the Recover here, and I'm like, okay. Okay, I can take a Freeze Dry, I can take an HP Fire. I kind of want to scout to see what you want to do. He's going to recover his damage. I'm going to set up a layer of spikes here. Remember, the whole thing is that we want to stack hazards so that way late game we can come through and sweep with something like Zygarde, sweep with something like Meloetta, sweep with something like Alakazam, sets up the Hail again, and I'm like, okay, this is really, I was like, you're Levitate, you don't get like Ice Body or anything, and again, this is going to come into my lack of knowledge in the Sun and Moon meta. We connect the Sleep Powder, sorry, I'm thirsty, I'm talking a lot. Connect the Sleep Powder, which is really nice. I can Giga Drain, I can go for Shadow Ball. I can set up more spikes. I'm assuming because he has Hail and Recover, he's not Rapid Spin. I haven't seen any reason to believe him to carry Rapid Spin, so I was going for the Shadow Ball here. I wanted him to bring the Mew in to like scare me out with a Psychic and potentially defog. So I went for the Shadow Ball here. We're gonna keep getting buffeted by the Hail, which is so-so. And I knew if the Mew came in, we can eat one with our Pyapa Berry, so I wasn't really worried about that. He's still asleep. I'm gonna go for the Giga Drain, get all that recovery back, bring him down under half. And I'm kind of at a losing battle right now. I don't know what he wants to do. He's just kind of staying in. Doing his own thing, you know, chillaxing, relaxing, all cool, shooting some B-ball outside of school the way Cryogonals do. He wakes up, he recovers. Fine play by all means. We haven't seen an item yet, if I'm not mistaken. We haven't seen any form of leftovers. We haven't seen any form of offensive moves, so we don't know if he's going for a Life Orb or not. We're going to go for Giga Drain again. We're going to get all of our recovery back. The Hail's going to keep wearing itself down, wearing itself down, wearing itself down. We're going to keep getting buffeted by Hail. I think there's only like 2 turns left of Hail, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to get out of here because I'm like, all right, I need to start pressuring this thing. Even if I'm burned, Tony Stark does do a lot of damage. I can roost up freely on this thing because I don't think he has HP Fire, Hail, Recover. He's got Aurora Veil, and myself, I was blown back. I was like, Aurora Veil Cryogonal. I was like, that is incredible. On the last turn of the Hail, too, so if I would have, I was blown back. I was blown back. I was like, for some reason, I thought that was like a Lola 9 Sails signature move, but apparently it's just like there now. So I was like, okay, interesting. I can freely roost up the damage. I can Bullet Punch to scare him out. I can U-turn, all that stuff. He sends in Raiden, which is the Thunderous Incarnate. So I'm going to roost up. I can comfortably take a hit from this thing. I really can. I can take a Thunderbolt. I can take an HP Fire. Thunderous is kind of locked into 4-move syndrome, and if he's a setup Z-move user, if he's like set up into Z-move, we do get a free turn here if he thinks we're going to switch. These things do get Incinerate, so that will hurt me quite a bit if he did bring it. Gets things like Sludge Wave, gets things like that. And it goes for knockoffs. So I'm like, all right, you got to have a little bit of physical investment, so I know I can take a special hit after that. Go for the Toxic. Again, we're chipping things down, so late game, one of our 3 sweepers can come in and just clean up. So 3 of his mons are toxic now. We have the Granbull's gone. Blastoise is toxic. Thundurus is toxic. Great. Fantastic. We're going to keep wearing this thing down. And I was like, Tony Stark, you're looking kind of low here, my guy. What are we going to do here? He goes for a Thunderbolt. I knew he wasn't, like, modest because he obviously had knockoff, so I am able to just go for a Roost here. I can kind of scout for the damage. Want Toxic to keep racking up so we can come in and sweep late game. You feel me? So we're going to Roost up here. And I'm still coming down with something. That's wonderful. So Toxic's racking up. He's on turn 2 of being badly poisoned. He doesn't want to stay in on that. I know I can take another T-Bolt if he wants to, but he withdraws Raiden. Absolutely fine by me. Goes out into Endangered the Pangoro. This thing's a threat. It gets Iron Fist. It gets Elemental Punches. It can have the coverage to pretty much take out my entire team right here. So I'm going to Roost up. I do want to keep this thing healthy for special threats such as the Raiden, such as the Blastoise. I don't think either of them are carrying fire coverage for Scissor. So Spadef Scissor is actually putting in a ton of work right now. He can be, if he's a Jolly Pangoro, he does outspeed me. I don't want to stand and go for the U-turn. I'm going to go out into Pelipper here. We are max defensive. If he goes for a Fire Punch, we're going to tank that. We're going to take 50% to rocks, which is really unfortunate. I can go for a Surf. I can go for a Hurricane against this thing. He doesn't want to take either. He can go for a Drain Punch. He can go for a Hammer On. Actually goes for the Drain Punch. Really smart move. Does get a little bit of recovery back. We're fully defensive. It's not going to do that much, but it's still like a world of damage. So I'm like, all right, this thing is really offensive. It can put a really huge hole in my team if given the opportunity. We see he's a Life Orb variant. I'm like, oh my god. I was like, this is going to suck. So he doesn't know if I'm Scarf yet or not. We haven't shown it up. So I'm going to stay in here with Pelipper. I want to try, I can go for another Drain Punch. He can take me out. I'm just going to go for the Hurricane. I wanted to knock out that Pangoro considering it was a threat. I didn't know if he was going to stay in or not. We do see leftovers on the Mew, which is very nice. I don't think we had seen those yet. So we know he's really locked into that defensive role, and that's one of the things I'm enjoying about Mew in League format nowadays. And he actually doubles out of Mew, which I was like, oh boy, oh great, oh geez, this is gonna suck. And if I would have went for another Hurricane here, this would have been absolutely monstrumental, but I was like, I don't want this Mew to go for something. I don't want him to, I don't want him to do anything. I don't want him to do anything. So I'm gonna go back out here into Scissor because I can U-turn on it for super effective damage. I can Toxic that thing and he can Synchronize, can't hit me back. We're gonna take Rocks damage, we're gonna take Burn damage. Aurora Veil wore off. Thank you. Thank you. That's all I wanted. That's all I wanted. Burning out turns that Aurora Veil. We're gonna go back into Pelipper. Pelipper doesn't need to do much. Pelipper was here as an Entei check, remember. First out the gate, Pelipper is here as an Entei check. So if we sack into Pangoro, that is fine by me. Absolutely fine by me. So Pelipper is going to go down. Andrew, you did what I need you to do. You took out the Granbull. You set up the Rain. You scared a few things around for Spikes damage, which is really awesome. And you get pretty decent good damage on the Mew, given the fact that the Aurora Veil was up. So we're going to go out to Prometheus here. Easily revenge kill. We can go for the Dazzling Gleam right here. I don't know what he wants to go into. He's going to withdraw, obviously. I'm sure he knows I'm carrying Dazzling Gleam. He's going to go out into Frosty right here, and I was like, okay, I do outspeed the Cryogonal with this, so I can easily 2-hit KO. If he's got the Ice Shard, I think actually right here, I was like, it's a roll because Cryogonal has such a huge special defensive stat. If he's uninvested, it is a roll, and I'm sure he's invested. So I didn't want to go out into there. Tony Stark can come right back in here. We can bullet punch. We can take the freeze dry. Goes for the freeze dry. I was like, all right, cool. We can tank one of those. We can tank one of those. And we see just how little that does. So I'm assuming he was more like fast, max HP, max speed type deal. Like really like utility Cryogonal. So freeze dry, recover, he'll Aurora Veil. He has no way of getting rid of any of our hazards. I can just go for a bullet punch here. And Tony Stark picking up the KO on the Cryogonal very nicely. Looking really good for a +1 Alakazam to come through and sweep late game right about now. Goes out into endangered, and I'm like, ugh, this Pangoro again is the absolute end of me. He does take the spikes damage. I know he will take Life Orb from this, so it's kind of a debate if what I want to do here. I go for the bullet punch just for the chip. He can go for a drain punch, he can go for a hammer, he can go for a variety of things. Goes for the drain punch. He's going to bring me down to absolute 0. That is going to be it. So he's going to get a little bit of recovery back, but Life Orb is also going to wear him down. I wanted to go for that bullet punch because that way we can come in Alakazam, we can revenge kill him, we can come out into Zygarde and revenge kill him, or we can potentially go out into Meloetta and revenge him. And here's where things get interesting, and I love Meloetta. Siren was a grade A pickup for Don Fan. I could have Dazzling Gleam potentially. I could have Dazzling Gleam on this thing, but I also do a tremendous amount of damage just with return. So he's going to go out into the Mew. He's going to take that spikes damage. We're whittling down that team. Go for the return right here. We're going to do tremendous amount of damage to that thing. So he's right below 25%. Relic Song right now, if he's a max HP, max PDF set, has a chance to knock him out. That leftovers, I'm like, Relic Song, please, So we're gonna go for the Relic Song here for our Meloetta. That's gonna transform us into Meloetta Pirouette. We've seen that the Zygarde, or I'm sorry, that the Thundurus is not Scarf. We've seen that all of his mons are not Scarf, so we know that Meloetta Pirouette can outspeed his entire team. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. We're going to take the Life Orb damage, and that is fine. He's going to go out into Leonardo. And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this is what we've been setting up for the entire battle, for Meloetta Pirouette to come in. The toxic damage and the spikes damage on the Blastoise is very nicely. We can just go for the return. Meloetta Pirouette picking up KO number 2. And there are now 2 mons left. There is Thundurus and Pangoro left. The Life Orb damage is going to suck. He's going to go off to Raiden here. Now, I went for the return here just in case he was like hidden tech Yachi Berry late game and I didn't know about it and he was able to like T-Bolt me. We would have had ways to come in revenge kill. So I just kept going with the returns, man. Just keep going with the returns of the Meloetta, which is very nice here. We're going to be right under half. Choice Banded Pangoro does have a chance to knock us out with Bullet Punch crit right here. But we've seen that he's Life Orb, so I'm not worried if he goes for the Bullet Punch. If he's Adamant Life Orb, Pangoro, Bullet Punch will not be able to knock us out here. We're going to see that damage is nice and clean, and Meloetta Pirouette actually picking up the first sweep for the Detroit Steel Wings this season. Coming back with 4 kills in this game alone. Pelipper and Scissor picking up the other 2. Zygarde, Stepfather not even hitting the field. Alakazam kind of scaring some things around. And your Detroit Steel Wings picking up a lovely 4-0 victory over Galactic Elliot and the Chicago Cubchoos. So all that being said, guys, I hope you have enjoyed. If you have enjoyed this video, be sure to give it a like. Your support is always greatly appreciated. And of course, please check out Elliot's channel in the description of this video. Let me know your guys' thoughts on the battle too. I said in the last video, in case you missed it, these are post-com now. I feel much more comfortable, as you can see, doing post-com matches, and that's how things are gonna be. So I apologize if you don't like the live comms, or if you like live comms over post comms. You can still support the team, support the dream, support the boy. And next week we're going up against Coach Nidor in week 8 of the P4G. And then the week after that, we got a bye week. So we're looking at carrying our win streak through into the bye week and then coming out of it. So as always, guys, I want to remind you guys to be great and do great. I'm going to let this outro bang. I'm going to talk to you all soon. Well, later.